Hello 4A, my name is Mr Allaway and I'm your teacher next year. I thought I'd start off with this virtual Meet the Teacher with some interesting facts about me because I'm obviously quite a fascinating person. If you're not sure who I am the bearded handsome chap who struts around school in a waistcoat. Please excuse the slightly wild hair and beard, the lockdown has turned me slightly feral. First thing you need to know about me is that I love Batman. He is obviously the best superhero ever. I'm afraid if you disagree, you're just wrong. Secondly, I'm a big fan of rugby and I follow the mighty London Irish, so if you're looking for a team to follow, they're definitely the one. I've been teaching for about 11 years now, and I've got two children of my own. I have Sabrina, who is 4, and Arthur, who is 2. I'm really looking forward to working in Year 4 next year. There's some really exciting topics of the Romans and the Egyptians, and it is by far one of the most interesting years to teach. So there's some slight changes now that you're going to be in Year 4 rather than Year 3. First of all, our classroom is off the Key Stage 2 playground, so this is where your parents will pick you up and drop you off at the beginning and the end of the day. You'll no longer have a peg to put your coat and bags on. Instead, you'll be issued with a locker which is just outside the classrooms. These lockers are not huge, so I would suggest that you follow the advice to only have a small Highwood book bag or a small rucksack because the large rucksacks are going to struggle to get in. Next to the lockers is where you're going to find the toilets for Year 4. These are the ones you use when you're on the Key Stage 2 playground anyway, so you should know where they are. We're really lucky this year that we're going to be next to the Key Stage 2 library. Therefore, when you change your books, it's a nice quick in and out the door rather than trekking all the way across the school. This also means, therefore, that when we go to assemblies, we don't have to traipse all the way from one end of the school to the other. We can be there really quickly. Really excitingly this year, you get to learn how to play the cornet with Barks and Maestros, and that'll be happening during the spring and the summer term. And finally, of course, in the summer term, we have a residential trip to Swanage down on the Dorset coast, which I'm really looking forward to this year. So this will be our new classroom next year. It has been completely redecorated with brand new carpets and furniture, so we need to make sure we look after it. The wooden door at the back leads to the locker area and the toilets, and the glass door is our fire door and access to the Key Stage 2 playground. These are the toilets and the locker area. Each of you will be allocated with one locker to store all your coats and bags throughout the year. These double doors lead to the Key Stage 2 library and are the ones we will use when we go to assembly. Here you can see the Key Stage 2 library, a reading area and access to our classroom. So this is our classroom looking from the Key Stage 2 playground. When you come in the mornings, you'll come in through the door shown. When your parents pick you up at the end of the day, you'll come through our fire escape, which is just to the right of the picture where you see all the windows and the white panels. So these are our topics for this year. In autumn, it is what is more precious, water or gold? In spring, what did the Romans do for me? And in summer, how have our coast made Britain great? So going into a bit more detail about the autumn term, the key question is what is more precious, water or gold? During this term, we'll be reading two books, The Secrets of the Sun King and The Search for Tutankhamun. Both these books, of course, are linked to the ancient Egyptians. I'm really looking forward to reading these books because I think the ancient Egyptians are some of the most interesting cultures ever. In writing, we'll be writing narratives about the Sun King, as well as writing newspaper articles about the search for Tutankhamun. In maths, we'll be doing lots of number work to consolidate all the work you've done on the 4 operations last year in Year 3. In geography, we'll be looking at a lot of physical features of the rivers, specifically linked to the River Nile, which of course will link to the ancient Egyptians. We will also be learning about the water cycle. A lot of your art and DT work will be linked to the ancient Egyptians, and of course you'll have your weekly French lessons. So in the spring term, the key question is, what did the Romans do for me? So as you might expect, a lot of this work will be based around the Roman culture. The first book we're reading is called The Thieves of Ostia, which is a mystery novel set in Rome. The second book will be The Rotten Romans, which is a really exciting, interesting information text about the Romans. In writing, we'll be going to write about the Roman myths, which I'm really looking forward to, as well as writing explanation texts and biographies about the Romans. This should be a really exciting term for writing. In maths, we'll be building on the fractions and decimals that we learned on Year 3, as well as moving on to more information about shapes. Art, geography and history will all be linked to the Romans, where we'll learn how they changed Britain, where they settled, and how they created some absolutely stunning works with their mosaics. In science, we'll be looking and exploring food chains, as well as one of my favourite topics, solids, liquids and gases. So in the summer term, our topic is, how have our coast made Britain great? In this term, we'll be looking at Michael Morpurgo's retelling of Sir Gawain the Green Knight, which is an absolutely fantastic book. We will also be reading the Osborne Book of Castles. In writing, we'll be creating narratives based around Seguin and medieval history, as well as writing persuasive letters to Mr Hickey to stop a Norman invasion. In maths, we'll be focusing on different types of measurement, things like area, perimeter and time. Obviously, in this term, we're off to Swanage as part of a residential, so a lot of our topic work will be based around this. In geography, we'll be learning about the human and physical features around Swanage, and in history, we'll be looking about the change of land use. Art and DT were based a lot around castles because as part of the trip, we'll be visiting Corfe Castle. Also, really excitingly, in computing, we should hopefully be able to use some really exciting new technology to create some really interesting programs. So in Year 4, it's important that we're still working at home. This includes reading every day and making sure you complete one piece of homework every 2 weeks. Hopefully this year, all of you will be working towards getting your Highwood VIPs, earning your bronze, silver and gold, and I'm really looking forward to see how many you can achieve this year. So finally, I'd just like to say I'm really looking forward to working with you next year in Year 4. It should be a really exciting year. We've got lots of fun things to learn. We've got lots of fun trips to go on, and so I'm really looking forward to it. Have a really good summer, and I'll see you next year. Bye.